As usual, first let us have a recap of last week's topics. I hope the PPT is visible to you. So in the last class, we have discussed some numerical examples on Zener diode. So this is the first example where we calculated various currents and voltages and also the minimum value of RL, and we have found out some of the interesting facts that there should be some minimum value for RL and also there should be some minimum value for VI as well for this Zener diode to operate in reverse breakdown region and to work like voltage regulator successfully. Then in the second problem, this second problem is basically on the line regulation, where we have to find out the range of VI. Means we have to find out the minimum and maximum value of VI. And here uh, the thing is this load RL will be constant, and we have to find out the minimum and maximum value of VI. In the third example, we have to find out the minimum and maximum value for this RL. This is on a load regulation. Here we have a constant input voltage Vi. So afterwards, in the last class, we have discussed about rectification. So rectification is the process of AC to DC conversion, and basically diodes are suitable devices to perform rectification. Depending on the number of diodes that we use, we have different rectifiers. The first category is half wave rectifier, where we use a single diode. In the last class, we have studied this half wave rectifier. It is called as half wave rectification because at the output you get only half wave or only half of one cycle as output. Only half of the cycle is rectified. Therefore, it is called as half wave rectification. The major drawback of this half wave rectification is the presence of AC is more, or the presence of a ripple, which is nothing but the AC content in the output is very much high. That is the one major drawback of this. After studying the operation of this, so the operation is very simple. During positive half cycle, the diode conducts because it is forward biased, and you can get a voltage across this RL. During the negative half cycle of this input, diode will be reverse biased. It means that open circuit, no connection is there here. Therefore, you will have no voltage across RL. Accordingly, you have got this output. After seeing the operation of this half-wave rectifier, we have derived some of the parameters with respect to different voltages and current. The first one is output voltage. The output voltage is represented as VDC. This you can obtain by taking the average or the mean of the complete output. That average or mean you can take by taking integration between 0 to 2 pi limits and multiplying with the interval 1 by 2 pi. How to derive this we have discussed in the last class. So this VDC will be around Vm by pi for this half wave rectifier. VDC is DC output voltage or mean or average output voltage. Next, from this VDC, we have calculated the value of IDC. So in general, IDC will be VDC by RL. So substitute the value of VDC, which is Vm by pi, 1 by RL, and this Vm you can represent in the form of Im into RL. So if you substitute Im RL here, ultimately you will get Im by pi. This is output current, and the peak inverse voltage is the maximum value of reverse voltage across this diode during the reverse bias, which is around Vm for this diode. Next, in the last class, we have studied about the ripple factor. So ripple is the amount of AC in the output of the rectifier. That is the variation of output voltage about DC line. That is what is the ripple. So ripple factor is defined by this ratio. It is the ratio of RMS value of AC component of load voltage or output voltage divided by DC component of load voltage. So DC component of load voltage is nothing but VDC. To accommodate this term load, we have written it as VLDC. So VLDC is nothing but VDC only. Then RMS value of this AC component directly we cannot find out. Therefore, first we have taken RMS value of the output voltage. So inside this RMS value of output voltage, you find the AC content as well as the DC content. Therefore, this VL RMS is square root of VL AC RMS square plus VL DC square. After performing simplifications, we found out that ripple factor gamma will be equal to VL RMS square divided by VL DC square minus 1 whole root. 1 by 2 is nothing but the square root of this complete bracket. So here, after some substitutions, we found out that the value of gamma for this half wave rectification is around 1.21, which is very much high, which indicates that almost more than 100% of AC content is still present in the rectified output. Next, we have discussed power conversion efficiency. So this conversion efficiency is defined by this ratio, which is DC output power divided by AC power input. So DC output power can be defined by this simple equation, which is in general I square into R. Here it is IDC square into RL. Why I have taken IDC? Because it is DC output. AC input power is IRMS square into RL. So according to this, if you substitute these values in this equation, so what you will get is around 40.5%. The meaning of this is out of 100% input AC voltage, only 40% of AC voltage has been converted to DC. That is what is the meaning. And this thing is how to derive RMS value, IRMS value. This is the one which is used to derive the RMS value of a continuous signal like this. So here what we do is we take the integration of IL with respect to 0 to 2 pi IL square, and this is the overall period 1 by 2 pi, and again we perform some simplification. We split this into two parts. First part is from 0 to pi integration, and second one will be 0 as there is no output. So ultimately this leads to IRMS value Im by 2 for half wave rectifier. This is one approximate method of taking the IRMS value. We take two consecutive sample values and take mean of that. For in this method also you get Im by 2. In today's class, we shall discuss about full wave rectification. As the name indicates, full wave rectification means both half cycles, both positive as well as negative half cycles will be rectified. Hence, you can see the output of a full wave rectification like this. From 0 to pi, you have the output as equal to that of half wave rectifier. But from pi to 2 pi, here also you will get the output just like the first half cycle for this full wave rectifier. This is the main difference between this full wave rectifier output and half wave rectifier output. One important thing in this full wave rectifier is this will reduce the ripple factor. So this will reduce the ripple factor to a maximum extent, and it will raise the DC voltage level. That's why we go for full wave rectification. And depending on the number of diodes used in this full wave rectification, we classify them as two types. One is a bridge full wave rectifier. Second one is full wave rectifier with center tap transformer. Bridge rectifier will consist of four diodes which are connected in a bridge fashion. And here, in case of this bridge rectifier, you use a normal transformer, a transformer that has one primary winding and one secondary winding. Such transformer is used for this bridge full wave rectifier. In case of a full wave rectifier with a CT transformer, a special kind of a transformer called as a center tap transformer is used. A center tap transformer is one which has two parts in its secondary winding. So at the middle of secondary winding, you have one more connection. Using this connection, you can effectively divide the secondary winding into two parts. So we shall discuss what is this full wave rectifier with a center tap transformer at a later stage. But for both the full wave bridge rectifier and full wave rectifier with center tap transformer, you have the same output. The output where you find both the cycles. You find a positive half cycle, which is like this, and you find negative half cycle, which is inverted in this fashion, right? The output will be same for both kind of rectifiers. Now, before going to the actual operation of this bridge wave rectifier, let us derive the parameters. Just like we derived the parameters for a half wave rectifier, so we shall derive some of the parameters. So if you consider this half wave rectifier, the first thing is the DC output voltage. So how to calculate this DC output voltage is, what you did is you took or you performed integration over this complete cycle, that is from 0 to 2 pi. You performed integration of V naught, which is Vm sin omega t. But in case of full wave rectifier, you have both half cycles. Therefore, in integration, you have two parts. One is integration from 0 to pi sin omega t, and second one would be integration from pi to 2 pi, again the same Vm sin omega t. So you will have two parts. Therefore, your VDC output will be around 2 times Vm by pi. You have to perform integration from 0 to pi Vm sin omega t plus integration from pi to 2 pi Vm sin omega t. So at the end, you will get, after simplification, you will get 2 Vm by pi, which is almost 0.637 into Vm. So it is almost double of the half wave rectifier. The DC voltage that you get here will be twice of the half wave rectifier. Hence, it is mentioned in the prior that it raises the DC voltage level. So it is almost double that of half wave rectifier DC output voltage. Next parameter is DC current, or the output current. So output current, for this you can find out as the ratio of VDC by RL. So what is VDC? VDC is 2 Vm by pi, and in turn Vm will be equal to Im by Im into RL. So here you can see that Im into RL. So substituting all those things here, you will ultimately get IDC as 2 Im by pi. So this is also twice of the current that you obtain for half wave rectifier. In half wave rectifier, you obtain Im by pi. So for full wave rectifier, you get 2 times of Im by pi, where Im is Vm by RL. Right. Next is the ripple factor. What do you mean by ripple factor? So ripple factor is the ratio of RMS value of AC component of load or output voltage divided by DC component of load voltage. So RMS value of AC component of load voltage you have to find in this way. What you get is, directly you cannot get RMS value of AC component of load voltage. In turn, you find out RMS value of output voltage by this equation, where you have AC content as well as DC content. From this, after simplification, from this equation, after simplification, you get a ripple factor to be uh, VL RMS, that is RMS value of load voltage divided by VL DC square minus 1 whole square root 1 by 2. So using this equation, this equation for full wave rectifier, where VL RMS or load RMS, which is Vm by root 2, you will get this. Here, this is VL RMS, so which is Vm by root 2 divided by what is VL VDC or VLDC, which is 2 Vm by pi, 2 Vm by pi. This is complete square minus 1. So after simplification, you will get this part as pi square by 8 minus 1. So after again simplification, you will get around 0.482. So comparing this 0.482 ripple factor of full wave rectifier with that of 1.21 ripple factor of half wave rectifier, you can easily say that the amount of ripple or amount of AC content in case of full wave rectifier as compared with half wave rectifier is very much reduced. So it is almost less than half of the ripple factor value of half wave rectifier. Therefore, you can easily justify that this full wave rectification reduces the ripple factor from this value. Next is power conversion efficiency. So what is meant by power consumption efficiency? It is the ratio of DC power output divided by AC power input. So DC power output divided by AC power input. Find out DC output. DC output is DC current square into load. Right? AC input power is IRMS square into RL. You see, this is the measure of AC input current RMS. It is usually measured in RMS. So IRMS square into RL, where IRMS for this will be Im by root 2. This value, that is VLM RMS, which is Vm by root 2, or IRMS is Im by root 2. This also you can obtain by doing integration from 0 to 2 pi of IL square, just like you did for this half wave rectifier. Yes, in the same way, if you perform integration, you will get IRMS value for full wave rectifier as Im by root 2. For half wave rectifier, it is Im by 2. For full wave rectifier, you will get the IRMS value as Im by root 2. So use this equation. In the numerator, you substitute the value for IDC. So the value of IDC is 2Im by pi. So substitute 2Im by pi. In the denominator, you substitute the value for IRMS. IRMS is Im by root 2. So after substitution and performing simplification, in the numerator you get 2 into root 2. In the denominator you have pi whole square. So after simplification, you will get 0.81. If you take percentage of this efficiency, you will get it as 81%. This is for using ideal diodes in rectifier. So 81%, it is a very high compared to the half wave rectifier's efficiency. So in case of half wave rectifier, the efficiency was only around 40%. Here it is twice of that. So the efficiency has increased by 40%. So it is totally 81%. It means that out of 100% input AC power, 81% of AC power has been converted to DC. That is the meaning of power conversion efficiency 81%. So these four terms, that is output DC voltage, output current, ripple factor, power conversion efficiency. These four factors are common for both bridge full wave rectifier as well as full wave rectifier with center tap transformer. These four terms are common, right? In the exam or in the internals, you may expect questions like find out the ripple factor for full wave rectifier. Means you have to do this derivation and find out the value of ripple factor for full wave rectifier, right? Similarly, you may get a question like derive power conversion efficiency for full wave rectifier, or show that power conversion efficiency for full wave rectifier is around 81%. So you have to do this derivation, and you have to find out the value of efficiency as 81% to give justification for the questions. So these four terms, or these four parameters, are common for both full wave bridge rectifier as well as full wave rectifier with the center tap transformer. These things you should keep in mind. And for both rectifiers, you will have the same output for the input AC voltage. Now let us discuss the operation of a full wave bridge rectifier. So as I already told, it consists of four diodes which are connected like a bridge. I hope you know what is meant by bridge. Usually a bridge is constructed to bypass a canal, or else to bypass a road. You have seen that in our day-to-day life. Here also, the bridge is constructed to make way for current. That's why it is called as bridge rectifier. In positive half cycle, the current will take one way. In a negative half cycle, the current will take the second way, which is obtained by the construction of this bridge. So in this bridge, you can, as you can see in the diagram, you have four diodes: D1, D2, D3, and D4. Here, as the terminals are marked as positive and negative, here you are going to connect the input AC, or else you will connect the secondary winding of the transformer. If you are using transformer, you connect the secondary winding of transformer between these 2 points. If you are directly using the AC input voltage, you connect the AC input voltage around these 2 points. So during the positive half cycle of the AC, what will happen is, so this terminal will be positive with respect to this terminal. So you will have positive polarity here and negative polarity here. So during positive half cycle, what will happen is diode D2 and D3 will be conducting, because D2 and D3 will be forward biased. So we can see here. So this terminal is positive. Positive. It means that positive terminal is connected to the positive terminal of diode D2, which is anode, and a negative terminal is connected to the resistor RL, and second end of this resistor RL is connected to positive terminal of D3. If D1, if D2 is conducting, it means that it is a closed circuit. It means that the anode of D3 through this resistor comes in contact with positive terminal of the supply. Therefore, if D2 is forward biased, D3 will also be forward biased. Therefore, the current will take this path. So the path which is marked in continuous line, here you can also see the arrow mark. The current will flow through D2, and again it will flow through RL, and next it will flow through D3, and it will reach the negative terminal of the supply. Hence, you will get this part of the waveform, that is from 0 to pi. This is for the first half cycle or positive half cycle of the input AC. So you will get this part when D2 and D3 are on. You will get this part. So during the negative half cycle, what will happen is this terminal become negative and this terminal becomes positive. So D2, it is connected to the negative terminal of the supply. Therefore, D2 will be reverse biased. Reverse bias means it is open circuit. Therefore, this path in which you find D3 also, this will also be reverse biased, because here the cathode end of D3 will be connected to the positive terminal of this supply during the second half cycle or during the negative half cycle of input AC. Therefore, this will be also reverse biased and open circuit. And the only path which is available now is D4 through this RL and D1. So as this terminal becomes positive during the negative half cycle of input AC, the positive terminal of the supply will come in contact with D4, D4's anode, and D4's anode will be forward biased, means short circuit. From the cathode of D4, the current will flow through RL in the same direction, and from this RL, it will flow through diode D1. So this is as good as telling the positive terminal of D1, which is anode, that is connected to the positive terminal of supply whenever D4 is on, and the negative terminal of this D1 will be connected to negative terminal of supply during the negative half cycle. Therefore, both D4 and D1 will be forward biased during negative half cycle, and the dotted line indicates the flow of current. So it will flow through D4, through RL, and through D1 to the negative terminal of supply during negative half cycle. So during both positive half cycle and negative half cycle, the current will flow in the same direction through this RL. Here you can see the negative half cycle result. So current is flowing from positive terminal of resistor to negative terminal of resistor. During positive half cycle also, the current is flowing from positive terminal of resistor to negative terminal, right? So for a negative half cycle, you will get the output like this, from pi to 2 pi. You will get the output like this. So this is a inverted version of the input. If input is like this negative half cycle, so this will be inverted. This gap will be filled with one more loop or one more curve, which is for the negative half cycle. So one more thing in case of this bridge rectifier is, as this bridge rectifier provides high DC voltage, this bridge rectifier is the most suitable rectifier as compared with half-wave rectifier for all of the electronic circuits. So this will be used in most of the electronic circuits, as it provides more amount of DC voltage, and also the ripple factor is reduced, and efficiency or power conversion efficiency is high for this circuit. I hope you understood the operation of this circuit. The operation involves only two steps. During positive half cycle of this input AC, D2 and D3 conduct, and during negative half cycle, D1 and D4 will conduct. And during both negative and positive half cycle, the current will flow in the same direction through RL. Therefore, you get this kind of output. For positive as well as for negative half cycle, you get output above the x-axis only, and this will continue. And one more thing here is these four parameters, as usual, they are common for this bridge rectifier. Along with that, if you want to find out peak inverse voltage, so during positive half cycle, you know that D2 and D3 are conducting. Suppose you try to find out the maximum reverse voltage across D1. D1 will be reverse bias, therefore it will be open circuit during positive half cycle. So if you want to find out the voltage across this, so you will get a voltage which is across this RL. Across RL, you will find the voltage as Vm. If you take this diode as not ideal, so this voltage will also be get added with this. Therefore, usually for this bridge wave rectifier, you consider peak inverse voltage to be slightly greater than Vm. So what is Vm? Vm will be voltage across this RL during positive half cycle when D2 and D3 are conducting. If you are finding the voltage across this D1, which is open circuit during the positive half cycle, yeah, you will get voltage Vm. Along with that, you will have slightly added up voltage. That extra voltage will be due to the voltage drop across this D2. So you will get slightly higher than Vm. Similarly, you can find out the voltage across this D4. It will also be same. The voltage across this RL plus a small quantity of voltage drop across this D3. So together it will be slightly greater than Vm. Right. Similarly, during negative half cycle, D1 and D4 will be conducting. So in negative half cycle, if you try to find out the maximum reverse voltage across D2 or across D3, that will also be slightly greater than Vm. Therefore, the peak inverse voltage in case of bridge rectifier will be slightly greater than Vm. I hope the bridge rectifier operation is clear to all of you. Next, we shall move to one more full wave rectifier, which is full wave rectifier with center tapped transformer. Right. So center trap transformer, as you can see here in this diagram. So this is the symbol for the transformer. As you have studied in basic electricals, transformer will have two windings. One is primary winding. The second one is the secondary winding. In case of center tap transformer, what will happen is the secondary winding will be divided into two parts, right? With the help of a connection at the center. Therefore, it is called as a center tap. So here, what you can do is instead of using complete secondary winding, you can take a tap from this point to center point, or else you can take a tap from center point to this point, or else you can take tap from this point to this point. So you have three options here in case of center tap transformer. You can use only this part of secondary, or else you can use the second part of secondary, or you can use the complete part of secondary for your circuit. Therefore, it is called as a center tap transformer. So in case of full wave rectifier with center type transformer, it is having two diodes. Therefore, we are using both parts of the secondary winding of this transformer. One diode will be connected to one part of secondary winding. Second diode D2 will be connected to the second part of the winding. So the connection is as shown in the figure. So as usual, the operation of this rectifier is divided into two half cycles. During the positive half cycle, what will happen is the polarity of this part will be like this. Here, this will be positive and this will be negative during the positive half cycle. And simultaneously, this part, the polarity of this part this will be negative and this will be positive for um, the positive half cycle. So during positive half cycle, out of these two diodes, D1 will be forward biased because positive terminal of the supply will be connected to anode, and the negative terminal of the supply through this resistor will be connected with the negative terminal of the diode, right? Therefore, it will be forward biased, and D2 will be reverse biased because the negative terminal of supply will be connected to anode, and the cathode will be connected to positive terminal of supply, right? Therefore, if D1 is forward biased, what will happen is the current will flow from secondary of the transformer through diode D1, which can be considered as ID1, and it will flow through the load resistance RL, and this part will be positive and this part will be negative as the current is flowing from this end to this end. So you can take direction like this, and for this what you get is this part of the output from 0 to pi. So you will get from 0 to pi during positive half cycle. During negative half cycle, what will happen is the terminals of the center type secondary will be reversed. So during negative half cycle, this will become negative and this will become positive. Therefore, D1 will be reverse biased. For D2, what will happen is this terminal becomes positive of the secondary and this terminal will be negative. Therefore, D2 will be forward biased as the anode is connected to positive terminal. Therefore, current will flow in this direction as it is indicated in the dotted line, indicated by the dotted line, and it will flow in the same direction through RL as it passed during the positive half cycle. Therefore, during the negative half cycle, you will get a output from pi to 2 pi like this. So it will also be an inverted version of your input. So during both half cycles, the current is flowing in the same direction through RL, you will get this kind of output. That is the output between pi to 2 pi. It will be inverted version of your input. So you can again compare this with the output of half wave rectifier. So in the half wave rectifier, what happens is as there is only one diode, it conducts only during positive half cycle. So from 0 to pi, you received the output which is only the positive half of the input um, AC. During negative half cycle, as diode is not conducting, you didn't receive this output for this pi to 2 pi value of the input. Whereas in case of full wave rectifier with center type transformer, as you have one more diode which conducts during pi to 2 pi of the input AC, you will get a output for the output across this RL for this pi to 2 pi range also, and it will be inverted version of the input. So the output will be like this. And these four parameters, as I already told, DC output voltage, output current, ripple factor, power conversion efficiency. So these values apply for full wave center type transformer also. The same parameters will apply or hold good for this also. And one more thing, if you want to find out the peak inverse voltage in case of this one, so assume that when D1 is conducting, what will happen is it will be short circuit here, right? So the current ID1 will flow through V0, and D2 will be open circuit. Now, if you try to find out maximum peak inverse voltage or maximum reverse voltage across this D2, as this will be open circuit, so what you will get is you will get, if you see from this direction, you will get this V0 voltage drop across this resistance, which is V0, or this is output voltage plus VIL. VIL is the voltage across this secondary, this part of secondary winding. So this will also be VM, and this will also be VM. Therefore, you will get peak inverse voltage slightly greater than 2 times of VM, right? Why I have written slightly greater than means, if you try to include the voltage drop across diode, then the value of peak inverse voltage will be slightly greater than 2 times VM. Therefore, it is taken as slightly greater than 2 times VM. Similarly, in the opposite direction, that is during negative half cycle, D2 will be conducting, so it is a short circuit here. And if you try to find out peak inverse voltage across D1, D1 will be reverse biased during negative half cycle. Therefore, there is open circuit here. So if you look from this side, you will find voltage across this load, which is V0, plus the voltage across this secondary, this part of secondary of the transformer. Therefore, it will be V0 plus VIU, And here VIU is nothing but Vm, the peak voltage, and here across V0 the peak voltage will be Vm. Therefore the peak inverse voltage for this diode D1 during negative half cycle will be also slightly greater than 2 times Vm. So for both D1 and D2 this equation will hold good. This is all about full wave rectifier with center type transformer. So if you observe both circuits, in case of a bridge rectifier, the advantages are that you don't have that center type transformer here. You can use the normal transformer. This will reduce the cost of the circuit because the center type transformer usually will cost more compared to the normal transformer. In case of full wave rectifier with center type transformer, the advantage is you can get rectification using only two diodes. The two more diodes which are D3, D4, which are present in bridge rectifier are not necessary for this case of full wave rectifier. So that is the advantage of this. But the disadvantage of this full wave center type transformer is you have to take a transformer which has the center tap. Means you have to take a transformer which has two parts in its secondary, so that you can utilize the center tap for rectification. Usually the transformers with this setup will cost more compared to the normal transformer. Therefore always this bridge rectifier is preferred for most of the electronic circuits. I hope this is clear. The rectification process is clear. So before going to solve some numericals, let us see how this rectification takes place through the help of virtual labs. I hope you can see the circuit on your screen. So this is a, full wave rectifier with the bridge rectifier. Here you can see the input AC. In place of this AC, you can also use a transformer. This is an AC source which will produce a continuous time varying signal, which is like a sine wave. And here the diodes are there. This is the diodes, four diodes are there. Here the naming is slightly different. This is named as D1, this is D2, this is D3, and this is D4, and this is the load resistance. In place of connecting load resistance here, they have taken extra wire and connected the load resistance RL. This is same as our circuit. And to measure the output across this RL, we have our oscilloscope. In the last class, I told oscilloscope is a measuring instrument using which you can trace out the output signals, output and input signals. So I will just turn on this oscilloscope and I will apply the input AC. So channel 1, so here this is the input AC signal, which is the output of this source, and this is the output DC. As you can see, if I apply dual, right? So during positive half cycle of AC, D1 and D2 are conducting as per this circuit. Therefore, you have output from pi, from 0 to pi. See, this is 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi. From 0 to pi, you have output during positive half cycle. During negative half cycle, what will happen? These two diodes will conduct, D3 and D4 will conduct. Therefore, during the negative half cycle, what will happen is again you will get the same output as you got during 0 to pi. This is from pi to 2 pi. So you will get the same output. I hope this is clear for you. And again, here there are some equations. First one is the RMS value. As I already told, RMS value of voltage will be Vm by root 2 for this full wave rectifier. And VDC will be 2 times of Vm by pi. Already we have derived this. And the ripple factor. This would be the ripple factor for this. I hope this is clear. The operation of full wave rectifier and the operation of the virtual experiment for center tap full wave rectifier is not there in this site. Therefore, that we cannot demonstrate now. This is only a demonstration of bridge rectifier, full wave bridge rectifier. I will come back to the PPT. So after knowing the operation of half wave rectifier and the parameters, next full wave rectifier, and also the parameters, now we are well equipped to solve some of the numericals where we need to find out various currents and voltages. That is, we have to perform circuit analysis of the circuits which are based on rectifier. So this is the first numerical. So what the question reads is, an AC supply of 230 volt is applied to a half wave rectifier circuit through a transformer of turn ratio 10 is to 1. So what you have to find out is, the first thing is the output DC voltage. Next you have to find out the peak inverse voltage, right? And you have to find out these parameters assuming that the diode is ideal. So ideal diode means it will not have any voltage drop across this, and whenever it is forward biased, it is a perfect closed circuit. So it will not have any voltage drop. That is what is ideal diode, right? So this is the indication of the transformer. This part is primary winding, this part is secondary winding, and what they have given is the turns ratio. Turns ratio is the turns of primary divided by the turns of secondary. So that is in the ratio of 10 is to 1. 10 is to 1 means if there are 100 turns in primary, there would be 10 turns in the secondary. Or if there are 10 turns in the primary, there would be only one turn in the secondary. That is what is this ratio, right? So from this ratio and the given AC voltage to the primary winding of the transformer, we have to find out what is the voltage that we are receiving at the secondary winding of the transformer, because the voltage across the secondary winding of the transformer is our actual input voltage for this diode, right? So we have to first find out the voltage across the secondary winding. To find out voltage across the secondary winding, we have to use the turns ratio. This is the general equation. It says the turns ratio N1 by N2 is equal to V1 by V2. V1 is voltage across primary, V2 is voltage across secondary. So for this case, V1 is nothing but VPM. PM means primary winding, peak voltage across primary. VSM means peak voltage across secondary, right? VSM, peak voltage across secondary. So what we require is, we require this VSM, right? So from the given N1 by N2, this is 10, and RMS value of this is 230. They have not given the peak voltage at primary. So from this RMS 230 volt, first we have to find out the VPM value, or peak voltage across this primary. So how will you find out that? Peak voltage across this secondary, or sorry, this primary will be root 2 times of RMS primary voltage. We know that RMS value will be equal to peak voltage divided by root 2. To find out peak voltage, just cross multiply root 2 with the RMS value. So we know this RMS value, which is 230. Root 2 times of 230, what you get is 325. So I will get 325.3 volt. So this is the VSM value, sorry, VPM value. After getting VPM value, what you have to do is, you have to find out VSM value. So VSM from this ratio, VSM will be equal to VPM into N2 by N1. So what is VPM? It is 325.3 into turns ratio. So N1 by N2 is 10, N2 by N1 will be 1 by 10. So 1 by 10, this is 32.53 volt. So this is the voltage across, maximum voltage across this secondary. So using this, you have to consider this as input, VSM as input for your diode. You have to find out the remaining parameters. So the remaining parameters is output DC voltage. So from our derivations, we know that output DC voltage is denoted by VDC, and also we know that IDC is Im by pi. So VDC will be I into R. I into R means IDC into RL. So what is IDC? IDC is Im by pi. Therefore, Im by pi into RL. So why we have taken this equation is because we know the value of VSM. VSM is nothing but VM value. Therefore, this will be equal to VSM by pi, or nothing but VM by pi. VSM value is 32.53. So 32.53 divided by pi, you will get around 10.36 volt. So this will be the value for VDC. that is output DC voltage. The second thing that you want to get is peak inverse voltage. So this is a half wave rectifier. The peak inverse voltage for half wave rectifier you will get whenever this diode is reverse biased. During this reverse bias diode, you will get a voltage across this diode as the voltage across this secondary of the transformer, because this is a open circuit. If you look at this end, what you get is only the voltage across this secondary to be the voltage across this diode. Therefore, here you will get the peak inverse voltage as equal to Vm or VSM, which will be 32.53. So the peak inverse voltage is 32.53. I hope this problem is clear and well understood by you. So we shall move on to the next problem. So what this problem states is a crystal diode having internal resistance RF. So it can be termed as internal resistance or forward resistance. RF, which is equal to 20 ohm, is used for half wave rectification. If the applied voltage V is 50 sin omega t and the load resistance RL is equal to 100 ohm, find the first thing is IM. So this is peak value of current, then IDC, average value of current, and IRMS, RMS value of the current. Second thing is you have to find out AC power input and DC power output. The third thing is DC output voltage, nothing but VDC. Then you have to find out efficiency of rectification. So what they have given is V equals Vm sin omega t. So this is the applied voltage for the diode. Here also you are performing half wave rectification, means the circuit will be like this. They have directly given the voltage that is applied to the diode. They have not given any transformer here. Therefore, this is the voltage that is directly applied to the diode, which is V equals 50 sin omega t. So in this equation, this first part 50 is nothing but Vm or maximum voltage. So directly take this 50 from this equation as value for Vm or VSM, right? So this is the peak value of the voltage, right? So 50 Vm is equal to 50. What is the first thing? We have to find out Im, right? So Im will be equal to peak voltage divided by resistance. So it is actually Vm by RL if RF is negligible, but here they have given a finite value for RF. So you cannot neglect RF. You have to add RF with RL in the denominator. Therefore, Vm will be equal to Im will be equal to 50. 50 is the value of Vm divided by RF is 20 and RL is 800 as it is given in the problem. So you will get around 0.061 ampere. In terms of milli, it is 61 milliampere. So from this one, you can find out IDC and IRMS. So what is IDC? IDC, you know, for half wave rectifier, it is Im by pi. This you have derived. Therefore, 61 milliampere divided by pi, you will get around 19.4 milliampere as the value for IDC. Next is IRMS. What is IRMS? IRMS is Im by 2 for half wave rectifier. So it is 61 by 2. You will get 30.5 milliampere. So the first part is clear. Second part is AC power input and DC power output. AC power input is given by this equation. What is the power input? Usually it is current square into resistance. But here you should consider RF also, because they have given a finite value for RF. If they have told that the diode which is used is ideal diode, then RF value would be almost equal to 0 or nearly equal to 0. Then you would skip the value of RF if it is the ideal diode. But in this problem, they have given finite value for RF. Therefore, you cannot neglect this RF. You have to include that with the RL, right? So it is IRMS square into RF plus RL. So IRMS square is nothing but this value, right? So it is 30.5. So how will you find this IRMS square? Already you know what is IRMS from the equation of this half wave rectifier. So IRMS, it is here. So it is Im by 2. IRMS is Im by 2. So use that value, and Im is this one, right? Im by 2, you can either use that or else you can substitute the value of voltage or IRMS square into what is the value of this resistance? It is RF is 20 plus 800. So substitute this and you will get around 0.763 watt. Next, DC power output, it is IDC square into RL, right? So here you will get this much 19.4. So this 100 is basically the milli, right? Sorry, the 1000 is basically milli. 19.4 into 10 raised to minus 3. If you take 10 raised to minus 3 in the denominator, it would become 1000, right? So this ratio whole square into 800. Here also it is same. 30.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 at the denominator. If you take 10 raised to minus 3 to the denominator, it becomes 1000. So 30.5 divided by 1000 whole square, right? So you will get DC power output as 0.301 watt. So after getting these two, you can easily find out efficiency also, right? Next is the DC output voltage. So DC output voltage is IDC into RL. IDC value is 19.4 milli into RL value. RL value is 800, right? So you will get this much 15.52 volt, right? Next is efficiency of rectification. So efficiency of rectification, you know what is the efficiency of rectification. So it is DC output power divided by AC input power. Already you know DC output power and AC input power. So just substitute the values. So this is DC output power divided by AC input power. So you will get the efficiency around 40%. So it is 39.5. Ideally, the efficiency is 40% for any diode which is given in the problem. For half wave rectifier, you will get efficiency which is closely equal to the 40%, right? This should be in your mind. So whatever efficiency that you get for half wave rectifier for any problem, it should be somewhere near 40%. If they give ideal diode, this value will come equal to 40%. But if they mention some RF value, it would not be an ideal diode, and you will get a value of rectification efficiency which is slightly closer to the 40%. Here it is 39.5. Any problem there? So next we shall move on to the third numerical. A half wave rectifier is used to supply 50 volt DC to a resistive load of 800 ohm. The diode has a resistance of 25 ohm. Calculate AC voltage required. So what they have given is the VDC value, which is 50 volt. Then after that, they have given forward resistance, which is 25 ohm. Then they have given load resistance RL value, which is 800 ohm, right? So what they have asked is to calculate AC voltage required. So already they have given the output voltage. They are asking you to find out the AC voltage or the supply voltage which is applied to this half wave rectifier, right? Let us assume that Vm be maximum value of AC voltage required. So what you get is VDC. You already know is VDC equals IDC into RL. This is DC output voltage. So VDC value already you know, right? IDC you can substitute as Im by pi into RL. But in this case, as you have finite value of RF, what you have to do is you have to take care of RF also. Therefore, Im will be Vm divided by RF plus RL. So substitute this Im as Vm by RF plus RL into pi, right? Into RL. This is the RL here, right? You substitute the given values and you cross and perform cross multiplication and simplification. You will get the value for Vm. as 162 volt. So this is the voltage required at the input of the rectifier to perform a rectification where you get the DC voltage as 50 volt. If you perform rectification for 162 volt AC using a half wave rectifier, you will get the output as 50 volt DC for a resistive load of 800 ohm. This is all about this problem number 3. Next, we shall move on to one more problem. This is on full wave rectifier. A full wave rectifier uses two diodes. The internal resistance of each diode may be assumed at constant 20 ohm. The transformer RMS secondary voltage from center tap to each end of secondary is 50 volt, and the load resistance is 980 ohm. First thing is find out the minimum load, the mean load current. Mean load current means the IDC value. The RMS value of load current means IRMS value. So what is given in the question is a full wave rectifier, and the diodes are having forward resistance of 20 ohm, and RL, the load resistance is 980 ohm. So the maximum AC voltage VM you can obtain using this RMS value of secondary. So we are using center tap transformer here, and across each part of this center tap transformer, the voltage is 50 volt. Therefore, the VM for this will be 50 into root 2. This is RMS value into root 2. That is 70.7. Next, maximum load current. Using this, you can find out maximum load current. IM will be equal to VM by RF plus RL. So VM is 70.7 divided by RF plus RL, which is 20 plus 980. You will get around 70.7 milliampere for this maximum load current. Now, what is asked here is after obtaining VM and IM value, you have to find out the mean load current. Means you have to find out IDC value. For full wave rectifier, already we have derived the IDC value or mean load current or simply load current. IDC will be equal to 2 times IM by pi. So 2 times IM is 70.7 divided by pi. You will get around 45 milliampere. The second thing is the RMS value of load current. RMS value of load current is IRMS, which is equal to IM by root 2. This is for full wave rectifier. For half wave rectifier, IRMS is IM by 2. For full wave rectifier, it is IM by root 2. Therefore, IM is same 70.7 divided by root 2. All right. So here you will get it as 50 milliampere. Right? This is 70.7 milli. Here also it is 70.7 milli. Right. So you will get this as 50 milliampere. So there is one more problem. We shall discuss this in the next class, and also we shall discuss about improving the output of rectification by applying a filter which is called as a capacitor filter. And how does a half wave rectifier with the capacitor filter behave, and how does a full wave rectifier with a capacitor filter will behave. All these things we shall see in the next class.